What is up, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome back to an updated Atlantean Mermail deck profile for the month of June. It's been a little over a month since the last profile, and I'm still playing a sort of Sekka build, not an Orcus build. I just would rather play the non-Orcus build personally. I already have a normal build of Danger Orcus, and one deck filled with Orcus combos is enough for me. And I think the Orcus Mermail or Orcus Atlantean strategy is just a less consistent version than the Danger Phantom Knight one anyways. So it just makes more sense for me personally if I'm going to play a build of Mermails that I enjoy to play a Sekka variant. Is the Orcus variant still viable? 100% absolutely. But we're going to go ahead and get into this Sekka build in just a moment here. Also, a quick reminder to check out Imperium Duelist if you guys haven't already, for some amazing playmats like this Thunderstorm playmat you see here, or any of these sleeves that I'm using, these grape purple non-effect tournament sleeves, or these heart effect charm sleeves that I'm rocking here on my extra deck. This is usually my go-to sort of sleeve loadout on most of my decks, because I like the purple and red contrast. So yeah, check them out down in the description below, and you can use that discount code for 10% off. And now we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so to start, for the Mermails, we have 3 copies of Mermail Abyss Teus. Discard a water to special summon it, and then add a level 4 or lower Mermail monster from your deck to your hand. Pretty self-explanatory. This is one of the best Mermail monsters in the deck, only requiring 1 discard. And usually discarding Dragoons off, this is your go-to to get lots of sort of pluses. Still definitely want to play this card at 3. Same thing goes for Megalo here. Basically, anytime you can get a discarder in your hand is going to be a good turn for you, so long as you have the proper discard targets. It's all about just finding a balance of the discarders and the discard targets in this deck. And Megalo is one of those cards that allows you to go for game, allows you to discard 2 water monsters to special summon it, attributes a face-up water attack position monster to be able to attack twice. So as you can see, this card allows you to put on tons of damage, 2400 attack as well. You can also search an Abyss spell or trap on summon, but this is a Sekka build, so of course we aren't playing any of those at the moment. Then we have 2 copies of Abyss Gund. Gund is one of these monsters that I would like to play at 2, just because you're definitely going to be resolving this card more than once in a given game, just because it's a card you do want to search out actively with Teus to be able to revive a Mermail monster to make more plays with, whether it be rank 7 plays, Mermail plays, or just putting on damage in general just to go for game. Then we have 1 Abyss Pike because of a card I'm also playing in the main deck that is searchable off Abyss Pike. This is also a pretty good normal summon when paired with Atlantean Dragoons if you do not open Prince or Undine, so definitely a good card to see. And then same thing with a Mermail Abyss Mander, an amazing discard target off of any of our Mermail monsters, because when in grave we can banish him to increase the level of all Mermail monsters we control by either 1 or 2, allowing us to go for a rank 8 or more notably a rank 9 play for True King of All Calamities, which will lock our opponent out of monsters for a turn or 2. So Abyss Mander, very, very important. Also searchable off Teus. Very, very good card that we do want to play at 1. I think 2 might be a bit overkill, but I think 2 or just 1 is just fine. Then moving on to the Atlanteans here, we have 3 copies of Dragoons. Self-explanatory, heart and soul of the deck. Same thing with 3 copies of Neptibus the Atlantean Prince. Send an Atlantean to add an Atlantean, probably the best normal summon next to Deep Sea Diva in the entire deck. 3 copies of Atlantean Heavy Infantry. This card is significantly better now that we have the Mermail Link monster, because you can discard this off for its effect in order to search a Mermail monster, and then you'll also be able to pop a card on top of that, because when this is discarded to activate the effect of a water monster, you can target a face-up card on your opponent's side of the field and destroy it. So infantry, very, very advantageous for that. Same thing with marksman. Although Marksman can only destroy set cards when discarded, it's not as, you know, relevant when trying to resolve an effect as Infantry is, so I think playing 1 is just fine. If it were more of a back row heavy format, maybe consider switching the ratios of maybe 2 Infantry, 2 Marksman, but I think 3-1 is fine for now. Also has the ability, when it inflicts battle damage, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Atlantean Sea Serpent type monster from your deck except himself. And basically, that can summon out Prince in a situation where you might really need your Prince if you haven't gotten a chance to get to it yet. Then 1 Deep Sea Diva. Basically, if it's normal summoned, you can special summon 1 level 3 or lower Sea Serpent monster from your main deck. And it is not once per turn. So, and you can also use Infantry for an extra normal summon of a level 4 or lower Sea Serpent. So you can normal summon Infantry, and then normal summon your Diva afterwards, and then summon Prince, and then send this, add this, etc., etc. The list of plays go on. And then some other engines we play here. The Swap Frog engine. Swap Frog engine is still very, very good, being able to go into Toad, and especially once we get Marincess Coral Anemone, this engine will be much, much better because of how easy we will be able to bring back a card like Swap Frog to send more stuff to the grave. To be able to make Toad turn 1 will be a lot more easier. Making Toad turn 1 will just be a lot easier than it already is. And I find a lot of times the Swap Frog engine is very good for just baiting out Ash Blossoms and Interruptions because your opponent is afraid of that totally awesome that is going to come out of it at the end. Link fodder, tribute fodder for Megalo, very, very solid engine in my opinion. Then we have the Undine Engine, which is basically the second best thing next to Prince. When it's normal summoned, you can send a water monster to the grave to add this copy of Gen X Controller from your deck to your hand. Which is basically the effect. So if this card gets Ash, all they're stopping is this card from going to your hand, which is fine. You don't really want this card in your hand for the most part, unless you're, of course, adding it off of its effect that you're resolving. But the most important thing is this allows you to send Dragoons, which allows you to get Prince to your hand to either discard for Teus to revive said Dragoons to be able to make Link plays, or make a rank 4 play by getting that Dragoons on board, or just adding a card like Infantry to your hand off that Dragoons or Megalo, you name it. It's just another way to resolve the Dragoons, so that's why I really like the Undine Engine in here. And same thing, like this in comparison to the Nimble Engine. The Nimble Engine does require to add like 2 engine requirements for that engine, being the Sunfish and the Beaver. This does only require 1 by way of playing just 1 controller. So the less Garnets, essentially, the better. Then moving on here, we have 3 Gameciel, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. I like playing this build primarily as a going second build, so I think Gameciel fits perfectly into the strategy. If you have to go first, it's easy discard fodder, all the, you know, being that it's a water, so it really doesn't make too big of a difference. Can this deck go first? Absolutely. Gaios, Toad, and Alacia turn 1, or BFD, Alacia, and Moulin. Tons of really good first turn combos with this deck, but this card just sort of solidifies your ability and confidence in being able to go second because, you know, just tributing a monster is pretty cool. Then sort of a little tech of mine, maining 3 Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. Now earlier I said this card is searchable, and it is searchable off of Pike, because Pike can add any level 3 water monster from our deck to our hand after we resolve his effect, so you can search this. And this helps to make your going first boards even more grindy than they already can be, especially with having access to make Alacia so easily, discarding to add Teus, and then when that dies, send a water to revive 1, and then we can just, you know, pitch this during their turn. Either they stop, or we're going to gain a ton of life points, which allow us to stall even further. So this card really adds nice to sort of the new grind game strategy that Mermail has sort of developed with Alacia, at least in my opinion. So I like being able to play this card. It's a hand trap that we can play in here that if we draw it, we can also use it as discard fodder if we need to, whereas cards like Ash and Ogre, you really can't do that because they're light or fire monsters. But in this case, you either use this to stop your opponent, or you can discard it to help extend your plays, which is very, very nice. Then we have 2 copies of Aqua Spirit. Great extender, Link plays, helps make rank 4s, just a really awesome card all around. 2 copies of Fishborg Launcher. This is a card that I've loved to play more and more in recent months, or not months, but weeks. Just because if you discard it and it's in the grave while you control another water monster in your grave, and all cards are in your grave that are water, you can just summon out for free. Either use it for link material or synchro material, and keep in mind it can only be used for the synchro summon of a water monster, which in most cases we're using this to summon either Trish or White Aura Whale, which are really awesome synchros for this deck. And just proved to be really potent, especially White Aura Whale, and how grindy you know, that card can help make this deck become. If it dies, it just gets to summon itself back. Another thing though, this card along with Prince and Teus ends in a 3-card combo that gives you VFD, Moulin, and Trish, so a 3-card hand loop along with a VFD. So being able to see this card sooner is definitely wanted for said combo. So I like the double Fishborg Launcher, 1 Lapis Dragon and 1 Moulin Glacia. Lapis Dragon is nice because it is a card that we can basically search and then summon because it was searched if it was added to our hand, or added from our deck to our hand, or from our grave to our hand. So this card comes in handy a lot to make synchro plays or just link plays. Moulin Glacia, of course, a going first staple in Mermail sort of since its inception. And that is it for the monsters. I believe 41 monsters, and then into the spells we just have 3 copies of Sekka's Light. It's basically a Pot of Greed that allows us to also banish it from the graveyard to return a monster from our hand back into the deck to draw another card. So this allows us to draw into more combo pieces and recycle cards that we don't necessarily want to see at the moment to sort of mulligan into better cards. This is also a 44 card build. I've decided to bump it up to a 44 card build to allow myself to be able to play more cards without having to cut things, and I've really enjoyed playing it at 44 cards as opposed to just keeping myself limited at 40. So I'm really enjoying the 44 cards. Then for the extra deck, starting off we have True King of All Calamities, Mermail Abyss Gaios, and Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. Amazing card going first, walking skill drain essentially, and basically once it's being pointed to by Alacia, it goes up to 3300, so it can negate anything under 3300 attack. So this card can be very strong when combined with Alacia. Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, this card will steal you games just because of burn damage, so I do like playing this card since we can make rank 7s pretty easily. Then we have for other Xyz 1 Abyss Dweller and 1 Totally Awesome. These cards do come up quite a bit. Dweller, not so much, but it's definitely a card I would not feel comfortable, you know, not having in my extra deck. So I definitely always like to play the Dweller, and of course Totally Awesome as well, since we do play that Swap Frog engine. And that is it for the Xyz. Into the Synchros, we have 1 Trish, 1 White Aura Whale, 1 Cyber's Quantum Dragon, and 1 Bryonic. We can make these cards all very easily. Bryonic can be made with Lapis Dragon and any level 1, obviously just mainly Prince. Quantum Dragon with Lapis Dragon and Swap Frog or Infantry. White Aura Whale with any level 7 and our our Fishborg Launcher. And then Trish can be made with basically the standard Diva with a Marksman and a Dragoons, or an Aqua Spirit, or a Pike, whatever, you name it, you know, the classic way to make it that way. Or you can use a card like Megalo, Prince, and Launcher to go into this, which is how you actually make it in the combo for the 3-card hand loop with VFD. But these synchros I was playing in the last list, and I'm still playing them in this list. These are, I think, probably the 4 best and most used synchros that I've played in Mermail in the past few months, and hence why I'm still playing them. I think Cyber's Quantum Dragon is still fantastic. I don't know if I'll play him once we get an enemy, because an enemy will lock us into water only once we use that effect to revive a water with 1500 or less attack. So I might just replace this with Gungnir. I'm not entirely sure, just so at least if once I use an enemy I still have a synchro option at the level 7. So I'm not entirely sure, but for those for now, those synchros are the ones that I'm really liking. For our link plays or link monsters here, we have 1 Boral Sword, finally playing the Boral Sword, really liking it still. Nightmare Unicorn, Nightmare Phoenix, then 2 copies of Mermail Abyss Alacia, and 1 copy of Link Karibo. Not playing Mastar Boy. I think Mastar Boy for the time being is replaced by Alacia. Alacia is just a way better Mastar Boy in every facet. Allows us to search a Mermail, discard during our opponent's turn for interruption, and once it dies, you can send a water, summon any water out of our graveyard. It could be even the one that you sent. Basically allows you to send Dragoons and then revive, per se, a Megalo out of your graveyard. Teus to sort of wall up. So definitely allows you to sort of grind a little bit and occur a lot of resources on your opponent's turn, which is really, really nice. So yeah, that's it for the main deck and the extra deck. Like I said, it's a 44 card build. Really enjoying the 44 card build, and I like how grindy and sort of versatile this build has been playing. I do really like the dogwoods in here. Do you have to play them? No, you don't, but I just think it fits really well into this deck strategy, since we can search it off Pike and sort of play more of a control version, I guess. Not really a control version, I would say, but definitely can play along that style if it needs to, while still being able to maintain a lot of its really great going second plays that Mermail has always been able to make. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Join the Discord. Check the link that down in the description below. Check out Imperium Duelist as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, Winter Kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.